Hey there, guys. This is the first episode of their Toy Vault's new series, Talking Comics with the Toy Vault, with myself, Alex, and my co-host,
Alyssa.
All right, guys, we're going to get into this real nice and easy. We're going to be taking a couple books from each of the companies, specifically Marvel, DC, maybe one or two indie books, depending, and then just talking about them, reviewing them, spoiler-free, so that way, if you are interested in picking up the story, everything isn't ruined. First up, Alyssa, what are we talking about today?
Infinity Wars #1, written by Jerry Duggan. The cover art is by Mike Deodato. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, I hope. It's a 6-comic run, so if you're just jumping in and you want to start getting into Marvel Comics, this is an issue 1, and there'll only be 6 of them. So it's a good one to get in on, and it's rated Teen Plus.
So parents, be advised, there is some content in here not suitable for the younger kids, but that's what the rating system is for. All right, so first things first, Alyssa, is this a continuation of the Infinity War movie?
No. If you're looking for answers to the end of the first part of the Infinity War movie that came out a couple months back, this is not the book. It's got some of the same characters, but they're not even remotely what you're going to be expecting if you've only seen the movies and haven't read the comics.
So it doesn't reference the movies as well. It's set in the own comic verse, but, you know, you got to capitalize on that Infinity War hype. And what better way than to bring back the Infinity Stones? Yes, people, the Infinity Stones were gone for a while. You wouldn't have noticed if you didn't pay attention, but they were gone. And now Thanos no longer holds them. There are 6 new wielders of the Infinity Stones. So we got Star-Lord wielding the Power Stone, Black Widow wielding the Space Stone, Doctor Strange with the Time Stone, Captain Marvel with the Reality Stone, Adam Warlock with the Soul Stone, and Turk Barrett with the Mind Stone. That is the most interesting part about all this. Usually the Infinity Stones are pretty kept to cosmic or like higher grade Marvel characters, but they decide, hey, let's give Turk Barrett the Mind Stone, and now he's just the kingpin of Hell's Kitchen now, and it's amazing.
One of the other really cool things about this book specifically is that it does have like a nice little nifty diagram inside of it showing you who all of the characters are that are going to be present in the book, what they look like in the comic, and who's got each stone. So it's a good way to not get it confused with the movies if you've seen it like a bunch of times like I have and you've kind of got that in your head. At least now you can identify who people are and where the stones are, because like I said, it does not coincide with the Infinity War movie at all.
If you were going to be going into this Infinity War comic, though, recommendations, read the Infinity Countdown. It was a limited run series that came out a little bit ago by Marvel, talking about the rebirth of the Infinity Stones and the countdown to the war. There is a 0 issue for this series called Infinity War Prime, which preluded this tale. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. If you want to check it out, definitely check it out. It is leading into this story heavily. So the whole basic plot of this is that the new wielders of the Infinity Stones are gathering under Doctor Strange's leadership to form a new Infinity Watch to guard the stones until a new power comes up and tries to take the stones for themselves. The art is probably my favorite thing in this book, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Mike Deodato Jr., it's just gorgeous. You only get to see him do like big crossover stuff, so that's when I tune into big crossovers. And
there's a lot of different variants available as well with this particular issue. Yeah. I think I saw maybe 3 or 4 of them. So
which for Marvel books doesn't happen that often, but when they do, they're great.
I mean, one of the downsides is that it is a little bit more expensive on the scale of comics, but usually Marvel issue 1s are, especially if it's in a limited run.
It's a 6-issue book, or a 6-issue book. It's $6 for an issue 1. Issue 2 through 6, I'm saying, will probably be $5, maybe $3. On Marvel likes to be weird. Like with Secret Empire, it fluctuated between $5 and $4 throughout the entirety of the series. But this book, I would definitely say, is an interesting book to keep an eye out for, especially if you're just coming into comics from the Marvel movies or just are a longtime fan of the Infinity Stones. And Alyssa, would you pull this?
I'm still kind of iffy about it. I'll probably read issue number 2 just because obviously this one's a lot of setup and it hasn't had a lot of action yet, so I don't want to judge it too hard automatically. But as of right now, I'm probably going to pick up issue 2 just to see whether or not it's something I'm really into. But
I feel about the same way. With big Marvel crossovers, they usually start strong and end pretty poorly. But there's a lot of really fun things in here, so definitely check out issue 1, and if you're feeling it, add it to your pull list.
and it's only 6 issues, so I mean, it might be worth sticking it out until the end.
Yeah, you never know. With something like this, it's probably going to change something with the Marvel Universe. Next up, Alyssa, what's our next book?
We're moving on to the DC segment, and we've got Adventures of the Super Sons, #1, and it's #1 of 12 comics, I believe. Yeah, it's a 12 comic miniseries.
It's a maxi series.
A maxi series?
Yes.
Oh.
Maxi series are technically like 12 issue runs.
Oh, okay. I wrote down miniseries, but again, that's fine.
It just says it on here, so I'm like, oh, that's neat.
I guess that makes sense.
They never
It's
really
fine.
say it on there, which is interesting. Although it is DC, and they like their specifics.
This one is also rated teen plus, but
A lot of comics these days are going to be rated teen plus, mostly for violence and language. That's really what it comes down to. This book itself is about a 13-year-old boy and a 10-year-old boy who are best friends, but also the two most different people in all the universe. It is the son of Batman, Damian Wayne, and the son of Superman, John Kent. And they are just the best and worst parts about their dads personified, and it's so good watching them interact.
and they've got sort of like a frenemy bromance. So like they're not like super nice to each other all the time, but they're not like, I wouldn't say they're mean to each other or anything, but
They're friends. They're just like their dads, but as kids, which is great. The Batman Superman like relationship has always been a big thing in the DC universe, and watching their sons interact with that same like friendship in mind is just great to watch and read. The Adventures of the Super Sons is set after the Super Sons 16 issue series, written by the same man, Peter Tomasi. And this takes place before the events of issue 16, so it's a bunch of little tales and whatnot. Because the Super Sons was a fantastic book.
yeah, it's like a flashback style that's talking about like one of their particular adventures, I think. Like this particular one?
Yeah, it's a bunch of different adventures that they go on. So it's just like these kids going on different adventures. What was it? Bad Guys, Action Detectives, Part 1, Bad Guys.
I really like the art in it too.
I love the art.
I love the way that they're drawn. Robin basically has like your standard like shaved sides of his head, like hipster boy style Damian Wayne haircut. So
He's like a weird like goth kid at the same time.
he's like really really smart.
There was a scene in here that you liked a lot, right, Alyssa?
Is it like, is it too spoilery to talk about it though? Like,
I mean, it's a basic character trait of Damien. Like everyone, like the whole deal with Damien is that he is hyper intelligent. He was, by the time he was 6, he's already had like 3 college degrees, because he was raised by the demon head Ra's al Ghul and made to take over eventually when he died. But he didn't want to. He wanted to be Batman.
but there's like a particular scene in there where they're leaving for summer vacation, and he's speaking to one of his teachers, and basically like he's written like a 108-page like college level addition to a paper he's already written, I think, or something along those lines, where like basically he's just written like this giant like college level tome in addition to that for extra credit, and he's expecting the teacher to like read it over summer break and adjust his grade accordingly. And for some reason I just thought that was really funny.
It's a very Damian Wayne thing to do.
I just love it.
I love this series. When they said it was getting canceled, I was so sad. I read issue 16, and I just was very upset after it ended. And then they're like, but they're coming back with the Adventures of the Super Sons, and I'd never been happier. So Alyssa, what do you say? Adventures of the Super Sons? Are you going to put this on your pull list?
Oh yeah, not only am I going to pull it, but I'm actually going to go back and try to get all the previous issues, because I actually didn't read Super Sons, which I deeply, deeply regret after reading just this book.
Should. Super Sons was great. It was it's probably my favorite like DC book on the shelves right now. It's such a lighthearted take at these two characters who are otherwise never really seen in such a lighthearted tone. Well, except Superman, big old boy blue. Mostly Batman. But anyway, I am definitely pulling this. It's already on my pull list. It's been on my pull list forever. I will never not pick up anything with John Kent in it. I love John Kent a lot. He is one of the greatest additions to the DC universe in a long time. Next up, Alyssa, what are we moving to?
So this is very, very different than the other two. This one is actually all ages. This one is actually Disney's Frozen, but in a comic form. It is a sequel to the Frozen movie, and so it takes place after Queen Elsa has already taken control over Arendelle. And it's really just very, very cute. Like, it's definitely geared towards a younger audience, not just because it's Frozen, but, like, the art style is very, very Disney. It's very pretty to look at. It's kind of just like a feel-good story about, you know, Elsa trying to find out how to be a responsible queen and take care of her kingdom without messing things up, and Anna trying to find her place in the kingdom as a princess who doesn't really serve a function. Pretty much like in the Frozen movie, she's kind of like a comic relief character almost, and even though she's like a strong female who saves her sister, who in turn saves her in return or whatever. But I mean, like, in this, it kind of like plays on the fact that like Anna doesn't really have much going for her, and I don't mean that like as a character standpoint. I mean that like literally in life, like unless something happens to her sister, she's not going to become queen.
Yeah, like when you're the princess to a line of like royalty that has already been taken over, like you just sit around. Like, what do you do now? What do you do?
Not to mention, like, when your sister is not only the queen, but is, like, an ice-wielding, like, sorceress, basically.
Yeah, like, you're not gonna wait for something bad to happen with that. If something bad happens to her, like, something bad's happening to everywhere. You don't want to rule after that.
And obviously, like, the two of them are, like, best friends. So she'd never want anything to happen to her sister. It's not, like, a sort of, like, Scar Mufasa sort of situation or anything.
Like how royalty is traditionally portrayed in, like, movies and media and, like, books and all that. Like Game of Thrones, everyone wants to kill each other for the throne. But also, Anna's just like happy to be there. You know, she's just enjoying her time and just trying to find her way, which is good for her.
She's very loving and supportive. She kind of wants people to take her more seriously and realize that she is in fact still royalty and deserves a voice.
She is very much a goofball. So yeah, it is it's good to see her try to push that and like try to find a place. But if you want to follow the adventures of Anna as she tries to find her way in this new Arendelle, and Elsa as she tries to keep her kingdom from going under, check out Frozen. It's a very much a kid's book, but it's something you can enjoy with your kids, or you know, if you have a niece or nephew who are interested in it and want to get into comics, this is a great place to like, hey, read this, you know, get them into that. Encourage reading, because we always encourage reading here at the Toy Vault.
What do you think? Will you pull it?
Maybe. I do like the story, and this art is gorgeous. It's very adorable, and I like it a lot.
I'm not positive if I would pull it, but I would definitely suggest that younger audiences pull it, or that parents pull it for their kids.
Yeah, I would definitely. This is definitely something that, I mean, it's got Disney on it. It's Frozen. Frozen's still popular. They put a 20-minute short in the front of Coco. It's still so popular. So it's definitely something to just check out. Even if you're not gonna like get it for your kids or something, like give it a look. If you enjoyed the movie, you'll enjoy the comic.
Oh yeah, Frozen is one of my favorite Disney movies, so I was really excited to find out that they were doing a comic version.
I like the music.
It does have really good music. Alright, so for like a last little bit, I'm not actually going to explain the contents of the newest Walking Dead book because I'm not actually caught up on it. I didn't get to read it. But what I am going to say is it's issue 182, and it's got absolutely stunning cover art. It's a variant, who did you say was the...
Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yes. This is the fourth one, I believe. The first one was Carl, and then they did one of Alpha, and then they did one of Glenn, and this particular one is Maggie, and all of them are absolutely stunning. So, in the event that you do like The Walking Dead, and you're picking up the trades, like, I highly recommend, like, not the trades, sorry. If you really like The Walking Dead and you're picking up the comics, I highly recommend trying to get your hands on the variants, because they're just so gorgeous, and they're an awesome addition to your comic list. But in the event that you do like The Walking Dead and you don't want to go hunt down 182 issues to try to catch up with it, we do sell them in compendium form. We sell the trades where you can get them in little chunks at a time. We sell these really nice hardcovers too. And if you want to jump on now and you want to make sure you're getting the really pretty variants, you can always sign up for a comic pull list with us. You get 20% off on your comics and your trades if you do it that way, which is pretty cool. And you can do that with any title. It doesn't just have to be The Walking Dead. You just have to let us know in advance so that we actually have time to order it for you, and then it'll be right in a box for you. You can come pick it up and get your 20% discount.
So to wrap this up, or wrap up our very first episode, we're gonna talk about some books that are coming up next week that we're excited for. We may talk about it next week. We may not. More than likely so. First up, Alyssa, what's your first pick?
Mine would be Quicksilver. Basically, like, I didn't really get into the character until the movies came out, and I actually don't really like the Avengers one all that much, but I loved the Evan Peters one from the X-Men movies. He was probably the best part about them for me. If you do like Evan Peters Quicksilver, I feel like you'd really, really like this particular run of the Quicksilver comics, because he's a lot more, like, witty and quippy, I feel like, than he was in the Avengers movies, and if you read it without that awful accent in your head, you'll enjoy it so much more.
Duh.
It was just not good.
It really wasn't. I'm so glad she kind of like dropped the accent at the end of the movie. At the end of this movie, I'm gonna say Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 50. It is the last issue in the Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps run before it resets back to Green Lantern number 1, written by Grant Morrison. I love Grant Morrison a lot. What's the other one?
For the most part, it seemed like there aren't many issue 1s coming out, so unfortunately it's not really going to be a good week to jump onto something new. It's more of, issues for reoccurring comics.
I mean, there is Fantastic Four number 1, the
that's
return
right.
of the Fantastic Four.
And Spider-Man Annual.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be awesome, because the new run of Amazing Spider-Man has been awesome.
It's so good. Ryan Atlee's finally gotten to do what he's wanted to do always. Draw Spider-Man.
All the Spider-Man has just been so good lately, so that's probably going to be awesome.
But yeah, even if you can't find a number 1 coming out next week that you look interesting, check out a book. If you see something that looks interesting, try to follow it back. Find the trade. Get caught up. There's a lot of really good titles on the shelves right now that are in the middle of their story arcs, and we would both highly recommend going back and checking them out.
Not to mention, there are a lot of awesome books out there that are based on things that you already might be familiar with, like a lot of your favorite movie characters, a lot of your favorite TV characters. There's even Archie, there's Riverdale.
Nancy Drew.
The new Nancy Drew is so good.
Next time Nancy Drew comes up, we're talking about it.
We're definitely going to talk about Nancy Drew, because Nancy Drew is amazing.
I love it. My girl Kelly Thompson can do no wrong. This ends the first episode of Talking Comics with the Toy Vault. Hope you guys enjoyed, and tune in next week for the next episode.
Signing off.